And last but not least, Toast. We saved the big one here. What do you have for us?
Did you though? This series is not that big. What are you talking about?
It's kind of
No, yeah, it's a wee bit small.
yeah, it's pretty niche, I think.
Yeah, no one's heard of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I watched. I don't know the full title. Rurouni
Is
Kenshin,
there
Meiji Kenkaku Romantan, which apparently is the
yeah.
full title of the manga. So good. Not this is not the '90s version by Dean. This is the 2023 version made by Leiden Films.
Yeah.
I don't
Wow.
know who Leiden Films are,
Are they
but they're
co-producing with anybody, or is Lion Films like pretty much the only one?
It
Plus, obviously,
it's
Subtitle.
just Leiden.
it seems like it's mainly Leiden Films.
Wow, I'm surprised
Obviously,
they
So
aren't like co-producing with like
obviously
2 other
plus
studios.
subcontract, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it
if you
seems
don't
to be
know who
largely.
if you don't know who Leiden Films is doing, they're doing Goblin Slayer 2, which is coming out soon next year.
Wow.
No wonder the
Goblin Slayer.
no wonder the art design changed. Also, the famous Sekko Boys, right? You remember Sekko Boys?
Yeah.
The Greek statue and stuff. Yeah.
Also
Also,
recently did
they also did
Tokyo Revengers.
I never heard of that.
Okay.
You have Kashinota.
Uh,
But
oh
have you
wait,
heard
Lion Films the Yufka Shnota?
Yes, sir.
That is. Okay.
Miss Monochrome? Never heard of that. Also, what else?
Oh,
Atelier Ryza. I've never heard of that either. They're the one who did that, yeah.
Yeah.
So, what can I say? They're I've got my eye on you, Leiden Films. Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys are all right, I guess.
yeah.
So, I assume everyone here on this podcast has seen Rurouni Kenshin, right?
Dark probably hasn't because he's a baby.
He says he did, so I'll kind of. How about you, Snyder?
I just got back. That was my bad. What?
Have you seen
We're on Rurouni
Kenshin?
Kenshin? I did when I was like fucking 5 years old on
Good enough. How
Toonami. Again, like I
about you,
said
Spire?
earlier, the only thing I know about Kenshin at this
Yeah.
point that I remember is like he has a backwards blade on his sword and he doesn't kill people, and that's cool.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar. Where it's like I watched it when I was young, and I think I watched it in like when I was in Korea, like as a baby, but I don't remember too much of it these
Get out. Get out of here.
days.
Get out. You are no longer allowed in this conversation, Spire. Oh yes, Spire. If
I'm
you've seen
sorry.
Rurouni Kenshin, name at least 3 of his techniques.
Bro, I can't even do that, okay? Like,
What? What?
This is why you covered the series, Toast.
yes,
I don't know.
like,
Isn't there
Toast,
a
Toast,
cross blade
Toast,
technique?
listen,
Here, you know
okay?
at least 2. You know at least 2, right?
Sure, but I can't like name them off the top of my head. You know what I mean? Like, if I see them, I could recognize, sure. But like, also you have to keep in mind it's been close to 10 years since I rewatched Kenshin.
It was on Netflix at least 10 years ago. Why didn't you watch it there?
I really should have because it's not on Netflix anymore. But
I believe it's on is it Prime? No, not Prime. Hulu? Hulu? I don't know. I
don't got that shit.
I gotta watch it.
I really should rewatch Kenshin.
I'm disappointed in all of you. I don't even want to talk about it.
I
I don't even want to.
apologize.
But Near, you know at least 2, right? The 2 famous ones.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so if you remember the original Rurouni Kenshin anime, that was made by
Studio
Dean, right?
Dean.
Hell yeah!
Yep.
What? Dean back when Dean was good. 1996. Was it 1996? No.
Was it?
Yes. 96. Yeah. 96. But it was made by Studio Gallop. I don't know who Gallop is. They suck. I remember. I believe they did the first. No. Studio Gallop is the one that does Yu-Gi-Oh. Yeah, that's the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. They also did Initial D, the first stage, but Studio Dean took over afterwards. But who
Yeah.
cares? I only remember Dean. Whatever. But yeah. So if you live under a rock and don't have any formative memories about anime from the early 2000s, it's a pretty famous manga written by
A pedophile.
Nobuhiro Watsuki. And Nier, you want to bring it up? You want to bring up the allegations, whatever?
I
'Cause
mean,
we could talk. We could talk.
I think they're further than allegations at this point. But you know, I mean,
Whatever. That's here. That's here
we
nor
covered
there.
it. We covered it on the
That's here
ground.
nor there. I have my stakes, and that I don't really care anymore.
Oh, what about whatever happened to Innocent until found guilty?
He was.
He was.
Yeah, I know.
Don't nowhere near. He just forgot to dispose of it after the rule change or whatever. I don't care.
Then
Sure.
that's still a crime.
Whatever. So the Toriko guy was also accused of similar crimes, I think. Was it?
Yeah,
No, it was soliciting.
a lot of mangakas have.
And you know who else is in this wheelhouse apparently that has similar crimes or whatever? I don't care anymore. Whatever. It's neither here or there. It will whatever the author does will not stop me from liking Kenshin because I like Kenshin a lot, a lot. Probably one of my top 5 anime of all time. And if you don't like Kenshin because of that, well, I just feel bad for you. This is kind of like the J.K. Rowling situation, right? Where people are like, oh, you can't like Harry Potter anymore because of J.K. Rowling and what he does, and I'm like, I still like Harry Potter and what it when I
It's
was
like a
growing
Well,
up.
to be
very
fair, I
Not
think the
gonna,
J.K. Rowling one's a little bit different because J.K. Rowling's continuing to do that. Um,
but like I got Hogwarts Legacy. It's okay, I guess.
it's
It's
true.
not gonna affect my opinion of the actual works too much because Rurouni Kenshin's pretty much been the same-ish throughout the years. There have been like small omakes and remakes, plus the live-action movies, which I don't know about you guys, but it's some of the best live-action movies ever produced.
Were
Like
those good? I heard
they're
those were good.
really good, yeah,
They looked good. I
because
mean,
it's got
to
a
be
lot of
fair, the track record Japan has for like live action anime adaptations that aren't slice of life isn't strong, to
That's
be honest.
because
But
yeah. I
if
think
you
it's
think
pretty
about it,
much just Gintama, right?
yeah.
It's like the main one that's like, wow, okay, this one is solid.
it's weird because like the West and the East have a different like design philosophies towards adaptations of stuff.
Hmm.
Like Japan has the best aesthetics when it comes to like making a live action thing, but the story is kind of iffy because it's a
Well,
direct
it's
adaptation.
also their selection of series, right? Because they're picking from a bunch of stuff that isn't. How do I say? Like when Japan picks a lot of live action stuff to animate, right? A lot of times it is something a little bit more off slice of life, maybe add a little bit of
I don't know.
supernatural or something
Have
like
you
Kiri
seen
kind of
have you
stuff.
seen the JoJo? What Diamond is Unbreakable? It's weird, man. It's weird. The aesthetic's good, but this whatever. But then you have the Western adaptation, and let's just bring up Dragon Ball Evolution. What the hell was
What I'm
that?
saying is also, yeah, like because the Western studios always want to go full Michael Bay and always, you know, animate something like freaking uh Battle Angelita or whatever it is, stuff like that, right? They don't. You would never see. You would never catch a Western studio adapting an anime like Nodama Cantabile in these. You never catch them doing that. They would rather be dead before. So I think that's also.
What
I
about
think it's a
all you need?
shut up.
But what about all you need is kill, huh, Spire?
Well, I
True.
mean,
Or I'm sorry, it's called Edge of Tomorrow
Yeah.
Tom
I
Cruise.
think it's not exactly quiet series now, is it?
Anyway,
But,
where was I going with this? Oh, yeah. So yeah, the Kenshin movie's pretty good. All three, the trilogy, and then the after that is the Batosai arc. That's pretty good too. It helps that it's a lot of tokusatsu influence in it, so that's good. Anyway, where was I going? So
so
yeah,
this
if
Rurouni
you've
Kenshin
lived,
is a remake, right?
it's a remake. Yeah, if you lived under a rock, it's a remake of the original manga. It's pretty faithful. And if you don't know what the original manga is, it's about a guy, Hitokiri Manslayer Batosai, who was feared during the Bakumatsu era, being the greatest assassins, manslayer slash swordsman that ever lived during the Meiji Revolution, or the Bakumatsu era, whatever. And then he suddenly disappeared. And then like 10 years later, he's a wandering Rurouni, and he meets what is it? He meets Kaoru, who runs a dojo, and he gets in, and there's a bit of trouble because there's a rumor floating around that Hitokiri Batosai is part of Kaoru's dojo, and he's been going around killing people. So he has to resolve that, and then stuff happens. It's an old ass manga, man. Just read it. I'm not gonna. It's like,
Yeah.
come on, man. It's a famous manga. You should know the story by now. It's an early 1996 manga. Like, I don't care. I'm not gonna explain to you Kenshin is. Go watch it and read it. Like, whatever, man. Kenshin and his group of cohorts do stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, this is basically a sort of, I mean, for the early bits, right? It's sort of just a roaming samurai villain of the week kind of thing, right?
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
And then this adaptation so far is gonna be what is it?
Whereas,
Quaz? I
Two
don't know.
core, yeah.
Two core. So this is back to back 24 episodes. Right now we're on episode 10, and episode 12 is going to be the first. I want to say the first major villain arc will end. And so if they're gonna do 24 whatever, I don't care. I'm gonna say it.
how far do you think they're gonna get?
Like, I believe was it episode 8? I want to say episode 8 is when we started the Aoshi arc. Yeah, episode 8 is the Aoshi arc. The Jine arc was like 2 episodes before that at 6. So we're episode 10 right now. They just started fighting. Like, episode 11 is gonna be about fighting Hanya at Kanryu Takeda's house, base, whatever you want to call it. So episode 12 is gonna be the end of the Aoshi Shinomori arc, the slash Kanryu Takeda arc. So I believe they might try and condense like the major Shishio arc in 12 episodes.
You think so?
I I don't know how they
You
will
think?
because
I
it's
mean,
long, dude.
they could save that for another, because they
Another
could stop at like what was it? Saito, right? Because that's right before the Shishi arc, isn't it?
Saito is going to be, I want to say, episode 13,
Right.
right? Or maybe episode 12 because they can. Because 10 is when they can fight Hanya and whatever that guy's name is, Shikijo. So and then 12 might be. Hmm, no, yeah, it might be episode 13 because Saito is the start of the really big arc,
Yeah.
and then there's a lot to do there. Maybe I don't know. It depends on how many episodes they're gonna take for the training arc and like the Juppon Gatana. Whatever, man. I don't know. They could easily extend this into another season.
I mean, what
Yeah,
they could
it's
do as
very
well is
likely.
they could do like half of Shishio's arc, um, with the last 12 episodes, and then do like, I don't know, a movie or something, right? Or whatever.
I would not prefer that, but yeah,
I mean, it
because
wouldn't be ideal, but it's not like it's unheard of with series like this, right?
the what the I believe the Enishi arc is even longer than this. Is it? Maybe. I don't know.
I
Yeah,
mean, do you really think they go beyond the Shishio arc though? Because I feel like
yeah.
that's the most I feel like that's the most iconic
It is the
arc.
most iconic,
Right.
but also the movies, the live action movies did Anishi, so
Right.
it's definitely on the table. Anyway, where am I going?
How are the audio visuals on this thing? Obviously, there's a lot of money on the table, but that doesn't necessarily always translate into.
They're pretty good, I want to say.
I think they're quite good.
They're for a modern take on Rurouni Kenshin, they're pretty good. If avid manga readers will notice that the designs are way different from the early manga.
Of course.
Well, I mean,
Mhm.
and you have to point out that these designs currently from the 2023 anime are very close or not similar to the end of the manga art, as you can tell, because people's design mangakas art changes over time. So this is definitely the
Right.
most recent version. That's why Megumi looks kind of whack compared to old Megumi, whatever. What else? Also, avid manga or avid anime watchers will also point out that Kenshin's colors are wrong.
It's true.
They're wrong, but they're actually the correct colors. I don't know what the what is that? What do you call that original color? Like the pinkish purple,
Magenta.
magenta?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kenshin's kimono is not that vibrant red. It was a
Mm.
deeper
Yeah. It
purplish
was like a
reddish
purpley red.
in order
So
to
yeah, so the color palette kind of shifted as well.
but don't worry, they hinted at his original colors in the opening. So it's okay. They know. But yeah. I want to say like the biggest difference for me is in the fight scenes, but I guess that can also
Okay.
be taken due to the way it's modernized. Stuff is a lot cleaner and whatnot.
Oh,
Plus,
okay, okay. At least that's good.
it's a lot more like it's a cleaner thing, as there's not much blood or like dirt and debris on people. It's kind of like a little scuff. It's probably due to the more modern like aesthetics in a way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Kind of like the difference between I want to say I don't know Dragon Ball Super's Dragon Ball Super's damage compared to the original Dragon Ball's damage. It's an artistic
Mhm.
thing. It's fine.
Right,
Also,
right, right, right.
also the sound effects are more modern too. Like the all the audio is completely different.
I
And
did. I did like the new. I think the new sound effects are pretty good.
for what it is, yeah, it works fine. Like what, but it's kind of weird because when Kenshin hits people, it's a loud thud, as it
Yeah.
should be, instead of a like
Mhm.
a ching sound. In a way, like it's a thud because he's hitting people with a reverse bladed sword. So it's not supposed to cut. It's
Mhm.
whatever. There's also a lot of weird bass, like the wub wub bass when stuff slows down.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's definitely a modern take, but it's fine.
Mhm.
I posted some comparisons to that, and there's a lot of modern sound effects in there. I'm okay with that. Whatever.
Are
Oh,
you
so
so are you enjoying this how do I ask this? Are you enjoying this watch through of Rurouni Kenshin as just like it's like an improved HQ romp through the story I knew before, or are you kind of trying
now
to
that is
okay.
something that's up to debate per person
Mhm.
because this is along with like very small minute differences in pacing. This is basically a one for one of the manga.
Oh, okay.
Like one of the small discrepancies I could immediately point out because I read the manga and I watched the anime because I'm just speaking from the manga wise is that the sword bearing police officers and Yahiko is introduced like one is introduced earlier than the sword bearing police officers because you got the Hiruma fight episode 1 chapter 1, right? Then you got the sword-bearing police. Yaiko was slightly introduced earlier than that, but it's like it doesn't really matter. It's just a small discrepancy. It doesn't really affect the total outcome all that much. It's pretty faithful. There are some huge differences though in Kenshin's techniques, which I told Nier about before, and it's bothering me even more.
Okay.
Bothering me even more when I saw another point because you know Nier, I'm gonna say it.
Go for it.
Remember Nier the Zanza fight when when the Hiruma brothers intervene. They're like, oh, now we're gonna intervene in Zanza's fight because we're thugs and whatnot
Yeah.
and whatnot. So yeah, most of it's very similar, but the way Kenshin dispatches the older Hiruma brother, it's gonna bother me until the end of my days.
So
What?
how has the
You
community
laugh,
kind of
you laugh near, but it bothered me because the way Kenshin dispatches him is he does
I mean,
Doryusen, which is
I get it. I get it. Like the way they depicted it visually was like not good, right? Like
the way he does it is he does Doryusen and he like throws rocks at the dude using his sword, and it's like, oh, he's hitting with rocks. But then when they depict it in this anime, he's just it's just a bunch of flashes of light and thud sounds, and it's like, did you just stab him multiple times with your sword instead of throwing rocks at him? And that causes it. And you know what? Screw you guys. It causes a discrepancy in later arcs because that technique where he stabs a guy multiple times in 1 second in like an instant. That's a pretty. That's a pretty powerful technique. That's a plot point. Kenshin's growth. And if you're gonna do that early on, man, you're gonna have a lot
Maybe
of.
the rock technique is stronger now. Maybe they swap places.
God, if they did, I'd be so upset. But yeah, that's just one
so
thing. And then there's another one. Remember near when Kenshin was fighting Kyotoko, the guy, the fire breathing guy,
sure.
and in the original manga, when Kyotoko breathes fire at him, Kenshin twirls his sword and creates like a whirlwind barrier
Yeah.
to to divert the flames. Guess what he does in this one near?
What?
He cuts the flame.
Wow.
Wow! He swings his sword and bam, the flames cut. And I'm like, what
He
the
Badass.
should
hell,
he
man?
should deflect the flames back at him in this one.
It bothers me because that shows Kenshin being even stronger than he was at that point. Cutting flames with just
Maybe
the
he's
pressure
in
of
New
his
Game
sword alone?
Plus, dude.
I don't know, man. I mean, if you bring that up, he's kind of sound. That's kind of a good point because that's is that an? I guess that's an also I can put on a discrepancy. It's because it's not exactly one for one. That well, like the story beats of the manga are like they're fine. They're all intact, but Kenshin's characterization is slightly different from the
how
get
so?
go because episode one, chapter one. It's like remember it's there when he meets Kaoru. It's slightly different. Kaoru was like, "Oh, you got a Sakabato, whatever, and whatever." And then like, "Oh, the police are coming," and she throws his Sakabato in the air, and Kenshin's like, "Oh," flailing around, like, "Oh no, why'd you throw my sword in the air?" Then he catches it all cleanly, showing that he might be goofy, but he's also like ex goofy and aloof, but he's super serious.
Yeah,
That part's
Mhm.
he's a bit more serious in this one, I find.
yeah,
Okay.
but
Like
that's
they've culled a little bit of the like goofy comedic moments from Kenshin, like Kenshin specifically, which I find a
So
bit
it's a little
weird.
bit more suited for like, or they thought it would make it more suited for
it's a
modern
more
anime
modern take
viewers, right?
because it's
Yeah, yeah,
a lot
yeah,
bit more
yeah,
dark
yeah,
and
yeah.
serious. But I want to say that point that what they did that early on, it's kind of moot
Mhm.
because later on they put in his silly moments again, and I'm like, what? How does that even work? He does the whole Ororo thing, and it's like, whoa, man, why did you even cut that out from the first place if you're just gonna go back to going back to following the manga faithfully? Maybe it's
Mhm.
because they just want to show off to a new audience because of the 3 episode rule. Like, oh, he's a lot more. He's a serious dude, but then he's also lighthearted. See, I don't know.
How
It's a weird take.
what so this is probably going to be my last real big question because I think again for the most part as you said it's pretty one-to-one
Of the manga
adaptation of
specifically, not
yeah
the
of the
not the
manga.
anime. The anime is different. I could talk about
Uh,
the anime differences, but whatever. That would also
yeah,
take up
plus,
like
plus or
another
minus,
hour.
obviously as you said, also additions to make it more quote unquote attractive to modern anime
Yeah,
viewers or whatever. But
near. Can you believe? Can you believe it? They took out Ayame and Suzume. Near.
Did they?
Yeah, Dr. Gensai's granddaughters. They're not there because they weren't there in the manga.
Oh,
I believe Dr. Gensai's still there. I
right.
want to say the random doctor. That's Dr. Gensai. But like, yeah, so like those major-ish characters in the anime, they're not there. But yeah,
so my last question is, have you guys so what is the general like community reception to this Kenshin remake slash reboot? Do you guys have you guys heard any little birds whispering?
I have.
What's the general reception to this?
What about you guys?
I've seen a couple murmurings here and there, but it's like I didn't really pay much attention to it because it's mostly just the stuff that I saw when fucking Trigun was coming out, where it's just like
Oh,
new
okay.
bad,
Like
new
small
bad, old
details.
good, like
Yeah, yeah.
so.
Honestly, this seems like a because Trigun. I mean, like Trigun was like trying a lot of new things, so that was one thing. But this seems like a very safe. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
very
it's safe.
hard
I
to
want
Yeah,
track it
but
from
you also
the.
have to realize this doesn't have film grain and like the 90s aesthetic and like the sharp chin, the sharp eyes,
That's true.
so it's
It's
shit,
also
right?
not being played on
Oh,
Toonami, and I'm also
alright.
not like 5 years old anymore. So actually, this is
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
It's actually not good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
But yeah,
that's
this is
mostly
about
the
as safe
feedback I've
as you
seen,
can
right?
get for this sort of stuff. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm glad it.
from what I've been hearing, people are saying it's pretty decent, but they're saying the
Mhm.
'90s OST is better,
I
and for
agree.
that,
I agree.
I'm gonna
I
have to agree
absolutely agree.
because let's see who did the I don't know who was it. Okay, yeah. So the original music director is Noriyuki Asakura, and if you know him, he's the- he's basically pretty good at Japanese assassin OSTs. You
Yeah,
guys,
very period piece esque, right?
yeah, you guys like Tenchu? Same, same guy. You like
Oh,
Sekiro?
okay.
He also did music for Sekiro. Way of the
Mhm.
Samurai is also the same guy. But yeah, but I mean, while I agree with that, I have to admit that the modern soundtrack it works for this adaptation specifically. It works
Mhm.
for the material that it's given. It's a lot more serious. It's grounded, but it still retains the a lot of the essence that the original '90s soundtrack did, just in a more modern form.
Yeah.
So it's like it's safer. It's a safer adaptation, and that's why
Mhm.
people can say that the original was better because the original is super good, man. But yeah,
Mm.
it's fine.
Yeah.
It's for this adaptation, it's fine. It conveys what it needs to convey very well. It's got a lot of lot of slow tracks and whatnot. It fits the mood. But I mean, come on, the original the music is better. And we're gonna segue that into the I might as well segue that into the opening and endings of this
Yes.
because yeah, they're pretty good.
I am not a fan. Not a
You're not a fan of either one?
I I don't like I don't I it's
I think
largely just bias. I
the
think it's
opening.
just biased because the original OP and ED were just like
Yeah,
they're phenomenal, right? Like they're
of course there, yeah.
Yeah, they're just incredible. I feel like these are, I don't know, they're really generic, especially for something like Kenshin. You know what I mean?
I want to say it's the ED unfortunately
Yeah,
the ED for this Kenshin is generic. It's
definitely.
like, come on, man. When you think of Kenshin, you think of Heart of Sword. That's like the most. That's what ending 3, but that's like the most iconic
Yeah.
of the Kenshin sound like songs that you know. Like Heart of Sword by TM Revolution. The new one is the new ending is Edge by Rio, and she's good, but I'm sorry, she's not TM Revolution good. Okay, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think the ending rail edge by rail, right? Kisaki by rail. It's like when I listen to it, like obviously Rail is a great singer, nothing on her, but I felt like the instrumentation in the song was a little bit iffy, and most of the song was just like Rail carrying it, like just carrying the entire ending on her back, just brute force through her through her like singing chops, rather than the entire kind of song meshing together and being really good is sort of how I felt. So it was a
And
little bit
the
unfortunate.
the opening was it? It's Freckles, right? The original opening is Freckles.
For what? Kenshin?
Yeah,
The original, like the first opening?
yeah. Isn't that Freckles? It's
It
super
was
happy-go-lucky.
Subakasu.
That not Freckles?
I don't know.
No.
From Judy and Mary.
That's Freckles. Sure.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, I don't know the English version. But yeah, that's also iconic. But I have to
Mhm.
give prop. But like, I'm not gonna discount ISA because this is where the new opening is Hiten by ISA and RCT. I don't know who this person is, but it's ISA, and it's good.
Mhm.
I like it. It fits the more serious Kenshin because. Yeah, so I will give props to Hiten for being a better Kenshin song than Rio than Blade. So yeah, that's
Mhm.
good. And yeah, and now we come
Well,
to the last big point I have to take I have to put across
okay.
the character or the voice actors.
Yeah.
Okay.
As the voice actors, obviously this is an entirely new cast and whatnot. And something I noticed pretty quickly is that aside from the female cast, all the new dudes are pretty new, or at least I don't recognize any of them
Oh,
because
it's interesting.
new as in like
I
I don't know who these dudes are. They're not my old favorites and whatnot. But like Kenshin is voiced by Soma Saito.
oh,
Don't
Soma
know who
Saito
this
is pretty, yeah,
don't know who
pretty
this
big.
dude is.
Or
He's
not
all right.
big, but it's like he's been doing a lot of protagonists. In my opinion, they're
He's
not
been on
like
the up and up recently, I think,
yeah, he's
for sure.
in my opinion, he's going to be they're I don't know. I don't know why I said they, but like a lot of people are kind of in my opinion, he's almost like getting groomed in a way to become the next like Yoshitsugu Matsuoka or like Kajiyuki, where he's just like doing protagonists
Yeah.
here.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be honest, the only role I know him for, I can off the top of my head is Doppio from
Mhm.
Golden Wind Ventorio. That's
Yeah.
him. So yeah, so for Kenshin, he's all right.
He's
He's
okay.
okay.
I
His voice is
wish
a little bit too light, or
I
what?
th- I
No,
wish
no,
he
no.
could
It's
do a higher register. He's very deep when
yeah,
you compare
Oh,
yeah.
like
Because
if when you compare his voice to the original anime's Kenshin, he sounds like
this
a
this is a
totally different
this is a
person. Like,
man.
yeah, like,
okay. Yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate.
Because Kenshin's supposed to be like, oh, I'm a frail little boy, woman,
yeah.
and it's like, but I'm also like, but yeah, you can tell this guy's a dude. Whatever. And yeah, so I mean, he's fine for what he is. When he gets serious, he's pretty serious. So I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, man, it's fine. But it's just like his
I mean,
demeanor
I
doesn't
think
change.
I think he does a good job at like, the serious badass Kenshin. But when it's the more lighthearted Kenshin,
Yeah,
I do think
it's yeah, he doesn't. His voice register doesn't change all that much.
yeah.
But yeah. So he's fine, I guess. I'm not gonna dock too many points. Sanosuke is voiced by Taku Yashiro. I don't know who this guy is at all. Like I'm looking through his list. I don't recognize. Oh wow, he was in Vrains as one of the AIs, Flame. Okay, okay. So yeah, I mean, I'd call
It's
him small
interesting that
time.
they didn't get. I mean, like, yeah, I'm kind of. I mean, a lot of like I recognize a decent amount of people in like the supporting cast, and obviously a lot of the female
Yeah,
voice
that's
actresses I
weird.
recognize.
Yeah.
But it's like I expected. Well, I I mean, Somo Saito is one thing, but I almost expected a legit, you know, um, maybe not like Miyano Mamoru, but like something like Hiroshi Kamiya, like that sort of level of person to kind of burst in for somebody like Kenshin or um you know what I mean? Just like a very stable pick. But it is interesting that picks that they went through, um, they picked a lot of quote unquote newer male voice actors instead of relying on the stable picks.
But yeah,
It is interesting.
that's for the main male cast. Now let's talk about the main female cast. Now we get some big names in here. Kaoru's
Yeah,
voiced by
these are
Kaoru's voiced by Takahashi Rie. You don't know who she is? What's wrong with you, my dudes? She's really big, and you know what? She's a pretty good Kaoru. Maybe it's because her acting chops are like really good. Obviously, she's a pretty good Kaoru. Like I don't have that many complaints. What do you expect? It's Takahashi Rie. Let's see. Who does she voice? Megumin? Never heard of her. Hoshino Ai? Never heard of her. Mash Shielder? Never heard of her. I don't know, man. She's pretty good. Amelia from ReZero? Yeah, sure. Okay. Penny Parker from Shadowverse, Spider-Verse? Never heard of it either. Yeah, she's great. She's a great Kaoru. Whatever. And then we have Yahiko, voiced by I don't know who this is. Makoto Koichi. I guess. Oh. Does she count as a male voice actor even though she's female? Because I don't recognize any of these.
I
she
mean,
does do
she's playing a
she does
young
do
boy, right? So
she
it's
do,
pretty
she
common
does a
for
lot
female
of she
VAs
does
to
a
do.
lot of tomboy roles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
She does Chie, she does Yukiharu, who is well like a very very classic like tomboy kind of idol in Idolmaster. Cinderella Girls. It's just like that sort of
Yeah. Okay.
pigeonholing, I guess, into the role. So
Yeah. Yeah. That's fine. That's fair. And then let's get to the last big one. Megumi Takane, voiced by Saori Onishi.
yes,
Never heard of
Saudi
her either.
Onishi, very big.
Never heard of her
never,
either.
never,
Never
completely
heard of
unknown.
this
Yes.
Saori Onishi person either. Yeah, she's pretty big. Like,
yeah.
though, I mean, I guess they're safe choices, but they work. I don't have any complaints about these female characters
No.
at all.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the
The
main
female
cast.
cast side, it definitely they made some pretty good choices.
Now let's talk about the side characters
Yeah, the
because these
supporting
side
cast
characters
is
are
all like
packed,
fucking
The
dude. What the
supporting
hell?
A-listers.
cast is honestly bigger than the.
It's really weird.
It's yeah. You have like what?
Sometimes it does happen. It's like a lot of for instance, like smaller, not smaller, but like a lot of slice of life kind of series where they have four characters, like two characters, and the two or four characters are done by say newcomers, right? But then the supporting cast is just like full of A-listers. Sometimes that sort of stuff happens, but it's surprising to see it happen to Rurouni Kenshin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, for this one, no. I mean, they gotta. There maybe all these people like, hey, I like Kenshin. I want in.
that's
But yeah, what you got Saito, who's apparently a recurring role. He's about to appear. Like, yeah, he hasn't even appeared yet, but he's voiced by Satoshi Hino, aka Ainz Ul Gon, and I'm like, damn, that's pretty big.
Yeah.
Aoshi Shinomori, voiced by Yuma Ichida, who did the main character in Tempuru, and some guy in Jujutsu Kaisen. I don't know Jujutsu Kaisen, so just some guy. He's also the
Yeah.
young Clive Rosefield, so yeah, that's him.
Also the younger brother of Uchida Maya, which is like
Yeah,
a lot
that's
of what he.
weird. And then the freaking lady at the Akabeko, Tae, voiced by Mamiko Noto.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's freaking Skahawk's voice actor, man. Like, what the hell? And
Yeah.
some
Sometimes
late,
this does happen.
it's
And
it's like, yeah, that she's huge. What? And then what
Mhm.
else? I mean, like what? Let's even go down the list. Go Hey
Sugita.
Hero. Oh, you want to bring up? All right. Do you remember freaking?
I mean,
Remember Gene? The first, I guess, the first major villain that Kenshin faces. Gine with the was it Shin no Ippo, aka
Yeah.
Kuragasa? That's Tomokazu Sugita, and it's weird, man, because you can hear Tomokazu Sugita 100%, and I'm like, it's weird, but it works.
Yeah. These days it's becoming definitely harder to hide uh, voices by Sugita Nakamura. It's like you can hear them very clearly.
Yeah,
So
and then like let's go back to episode one with Gohei Hirama, aka the fake Batosai. The and it's like the fake Batosai from Kaoru's school. It's voiced by Wataru Takagi, aka Okayasu, aka Aoki from Ippo. That's another big name, man. And
yeah,
then
there's a
and then
lot of
and freaking Kihei Hiramo, Gohei Hirama's older brother. That's Cho. That's Brook from One Piece.
hmm,
And then like some random ass dude. There was this one villain where it was like, oh, we got a wooden cannon. We're gonna blow down your dojo. And Kenshin cuts the cannonball in half. That random dude. That's voiced by Nobuyuki Hiyama, aka the King of Braves. What the hell? And then what? And then let's
it's
keep
kind
going
of
down the list.
yeah,
Uh,
there's a lot of examples, but it's like it's kind of similar to even I was just thinking about it, but it's almost kind of similar to Pokemon as well because Pokemon has maybe some good like female casting and stuff like that in the main roles, some other roles, and then the supporting cast will just have random A-listers here and embedded in the cast. It's kind of similar to that.
freaking Captain Sagara, Daisuke Ono. Yeah, I mean the list goes on. There's a lot of
Yeah.
good people in here. But yeah, I don't get why they do
Anyway.
it. I'm not complaining though.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's always good to have these A-listers.
But yeah,
Anyways,
overall,
overall,
it's good. It's
pretty
good
good. What score would you give it?
for what it's worth. It can stand on its own.
Okay.
I
I mean, it's
want to
Kenshin,
say,
right? So,
yeah, it's. I mean,
like, as
Kenshin
long as they
stories.
don't drastically fuck it up, like, it's
Ken,
good. It's gonna be good.
Kenshin is a masterpiece of a manga, so the story is going to be fine as long as they stick to it. So, what am I? I really like the Kenshin manga. What am I going to complain about? Now, the real big question is, does this replace the original anime?
I don't.
No,
I don't
Does
think.
it need to?
of course not. It's I want to. Each of them are a product of their times, and I'm gonna come out and say it. Most anime watchers nowadays they don't got time to watch 94 episodes of Kenshin, do they? I mean,
No,
That is
no.
probably
but they
This
not.
is
should.
this is a they should. This is a condensed almost one-to-one version of the manga, so there won't
Mhm.
be any fillers or side characters or whatnot. So for a condensed Kenshin experience, I want to say this might be the definitive version for that,
Okay.
but in no way because it's pretty good. Oh, I mean,
It's like a snack. It's like a Rurouni Kenshin snack kind of. light.
I mean, well, it's not light because the movies exist, but the movies change some things.
Mhm.
So for the anime, this is a definitive remake. A remake that's
Okay.
true to the source material, modernized, so that people will like it. It's
It's
pretty
interesting
good.
how it grabbed that good, like, it's almost a golden balance then, because it's.
I mean, that's part because the pacing's so good, man. What do you
Yeah.
want me to say? But yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty. It's really good. I highly recommend you watch it if you're a Kenshin fan, so you can point out the discrepancies, like I did. Be like, hey, that's different, but like the story
Yeah.
beats are similar. So yeah, I mean, I like it a lot.
Okay.
Will it replace the original anime? No, because that's my formulaic childhood, my dude. You can't ever replace that. Is it a good
Alright.
remake though? Yeah, it's fine. Pretty good.
Okay.
Any glaring I don't have any glaring story complaints. Just the minor ones about what they're doing with Kenshin's techniques. If they keep doing that though, man, I don't know. My opinion might change because how dare you? But yeah,
Okay. Well,
What's
um,
your
and
rating?
yeah. What's the rating?
I mean, what am I other gonna give it other than a solid 9? Like,
Okay.
what do you expect from me? I don't know
Pretty
why
good
it's
then.
rated what 7.74 on Mall. Is that good?
I mean,
It's
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 okay.
it's
It's like
it's
the
okay.
average like decent series,
It's
right?
the kind
You
of
have to keep in
rating
mind
that
a lot
people
of
a
mall
mile give
people's
when they don't know. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of mall people are probably like. I mean, you also have the a lot of the fucking dumbasses probably bringing the score down, and being like, "Oh,
Yeah.
this is new. This is new version of old thing. Therefore, it's bad."
It's like a
Right? So
combination of the new version, old thing, and like the people who are born in 2022 who are like, this isn't an isekai. God, I'm gonna
yeah,
thumbs down this. It's like, okay, bro. But yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
for
And you,
the Fruits I want to say the Fruits Basket and remake was pretty good. This one's pretty good too.
mm, mm,
I mean, minor complaints, but that's just my nitpicks. So yeah, definitely check it out, losers.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, if you
definitely.
don't like Kenshin, get out of here. I don't care what you mean when you talk about the author. Guess what? There are other countries in the world that like Kenshin more than you do. I want to say like
But
Kenshin is pretty popular in the
Kenshin is very popular everywhere.
it's
It is.
pretty
There's
popular
no
specifically in
country
like
that. Yeah.
in the Spanish regions of the West, I want to say because there's a lot of Spanish videos HMV or EMVs about Kenshin still up. So yeah, and guess what? I guess the Japanese still like because what they've been making Kenshin for years and nobody's batting an eye. So get out of here, Western ideals.
But yeah,
Yeah,
definitely, yeah. I did really, obviously this is like a once in a m- like maybe a decade kind of thing going on, so I did really want to cover it, and I'm glad that Toast could help us cover it, and also glad that it was a good remake instead of potentially it being a dumpster
gee,
fire.
gee, who would have thought that by staying faithful to a very like an award-winning manga would make for a very good anime? Like,
Yeah,
gee,
exactly. But yeah, thank you, Toast, for helping covering this to help in helping cover this. And again, if you like Rurouni Kenshin, or even if and you've watched it before slash read it before, and even if you haven't, maybe do check this out because again, as Toast said, it is
if you like
it's
Kenshin,
one
this
of
is
the
content.
greats.
Yeah,
yeah.
Kenshin is one of the greatest animes of all time. If you
You
like
should
Kenshin,
you
you
should
have to
you should
watch this.
watch yeah, in your anime like mecha, whether it's when you were young or whether you're older now or whatever. One of the things should be watching or reading Rurouni Kenshin. So
And that's
please do check it out.
not even going to how well written of a main character Kenshin is. That's a whole another bag of worms that we could go into and why Kenshin's a great manga. So, but yeah.
But yeah, please do check this out. Obviously, read the manga as well, and maybe if you can watch the older anime, please do check that out as well. Just get into it.